Okay, next question. Bernstein. Bernstein. I hope this is right. What has more style? Games from Nippon, Japan, or LA, USA? For me, I like more games from the United States than from Japan. And I guess the reason is because I like the style a little bit more, because the US games are a little bit, let's say, darker, dirtier, and more honest. Let's say it like that. For instance, the games from Japan, not every game, but for the most part, like, you know, Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, or anything, it's overwhelming. It's kind of cute. It's very colorful, and the worlds are actually too huge for me a little bit. So I would say just I like more the style of the United States games or the US games. For instance, Fallout. Fallout was, yeah, it was dark, it was dirty, it was a little bit honest and a little bit depressing, let's call it like that. So I like those games a little bit more than Japan games, which doesn't mean that I only play games that were made in the United States and I don't play any games from Japan. No, but this is the reason why I like the American games a little bit more than Japan games or games from Japan. Then he also wants to know, what console do you think is overrated amongst collectors? This is actually, yeah, also a pretty hard question, because normally I think there are consoles out there that are underrated, or yeah, people seem to hate a lot, but actually they are not bad. If I really have to answer this question, I would say personally the Nintendo 64. It's a cool console and everything. I don't say that it's a bad console or anything, but I never got into that console. It never interested me as a gamer. It was the time when every video game has to be in 3D, and yeah, I like Nintendo, but I never was a huge fan of Nintendo, so, or a fanboy, as some people would say. So if I have to answer this, if I would have to answer this question like I do right now, then I would say the N64, because yeah, I never got into that system. It never was interesting for me, and yeah, but I'm not saying that it's a bad system or anything. Just for me, I don't think that the system would be so great for me, but maybe, yeah, maybe I give it a try someday, but for now I'm not that interested, and let's say the Nintendo 64. Okay, and the last question that he has is, show us a game that you think is absolute kitsch. Okay, for me I would say it is this one right here, Surgical Strike for the Sega Mega CD or for the Sega CD. I also have the Sega CD version, because this is the European version of the Sega Mega CD, and this is actually sealed, and yeah, I want to keep it that way. And yeah, but why this game is so, or well, let's say why this game is absolute kitsch for me is, okay, it is a full motion video game, but it's actually everything that happens in this game. I mean, you drive around in this, yeah, in this hover tank or hover boat with rocket launchers and machine guns, and like I said, it's a full motion video game, and it's also a rail shooter, because you drive around and you have all those targets, and but I guess button A is the machine gun, button B is the rocket launcher. So you drive around and fight against all kinds of terrorists. Now, if you attack something with a crosshair, you move the crosshair to the target and hit anything, rocket launcher or machine gun. It's so funny for me because when you fire your guns, then you see the gun from the side and see how you fire the weapon, and then you see a mega explosion, and sometimes people fly out of windows, and it's too much. It's really too much. It's all about shooting and explosions, and it's all over 200%. So it's overdone completely. And also all the video material or the footage that they recorded, you can really see that they had some model buildings created, and they just let's say drive around with the camera through that landscape or through that ruins that are in those levels, and all the vehicles, especially the tanks. They used World War II tanks, and it's actually just completely funny, that game. I mean, you can't take this serious, and for me, because it's everything completely over 100%, it's over 200% with all the let's say the violence in this game, the explosions, everything, the action, the acting, everything is over the top. So this game is for me completely kitsch. Next question is from TCDG Play Me, and he wants to know, what is your opinion on games that are released every year, for instance Call of Duty? Okay, my opinion. I'm a first-person shooter fan, and I played every Call of Duty game and also all the Battlefield games, and yeah, I actually enjoyed them. I don't need every year a new Call of Duty or anything, and also I don't buy them day one, so I'm not a hardcore fan or anything, but I like first-person shooters and I think they are good games. But the last Call of Duty, the Black Ops that I played, yeah, I will not say it got boring, but at the end of the game I thought, hey, this game will never end, and another mission and another mission. So I actually forced myself because I wanted to beat the game. And yeah, like I said, I don't need every year a new Call of Duty, and there are other games out there that every year we get another version of the game, like John Madden or Tiger Woods Golf or anything, where I don't understand why we need every year another version, or Tony Hawk or anything. I mean, for the industry, they know they have a good game or they make a good game, and they know that they're gonna make a lot of money with those games, so they will continue with those games until the gamers are not anymore interested in the games, or they need something new, and then they will start thinking about other games or other ideas for those games. And yeah, this is actually those are my opinions on those kind of games. So I kind of like the Call of Duty series and also the Battlefield series because I'm a first-person shooter fan, but I can see why a lot of people get let's say annoyed because they release those games every year. Okay, next question by Rabauke 1978. Do you have a must-have #1 item in your wish list that you would like to add to your collection, but it's too rare or expensive? I thought a lot about this question, and I actually have 4 things on my wish list which are my must-have #1s. And yeah, the first thing is that one of my biggest dreams is that I own a Atari Firefox sit-down arcade, because for me this is a childhood dream. Me and my brother played the sit-down cabinet because there's a standalone cabinet and a sit-down cabinet of that game. It's a Laserdisc game, it's a rail shooter, and it's based on the movie Firefox with Clint Eastwood. And yeah, like I said, when we were childs we played it in the arcades, and yeah, this was such a cool game, and I would love to own a sit-down cabinet, but most of those units are broken or they don't exist anymore, so maybe there's a handful of those arcades out there, or arcade cabinets out there, and I guess most of them, if they actually exist, are in America. And yeah, there's no way that I could get one of those here in Austria, or even find them in America. I once found a standalone cabinet on eBay, but this was I guess 6 or 7 years ago, and yeah, it would be too expensive. Then yeah, just 1 second. The second thing that I wanted to have, but it's too rare, and even if I found it someday it would be too expensive, would be this here. The Adventure Vision from NTEX. This is a handheld system that was made by NTEX, and only 4 games were released for this thing. There's only 1 video on YouTube that I found about the system, and also I only found it once a couple of years ago on eBay, but it was extremely expensive. I guess the guy wanted $1,000 for the system and the 4 games. So this would be also one of my must-have number ones. Then the next thing would be this. The PC Engine LT. This is a portable version of the PC Engine. They are very rare and pretty expensive. I mean, if you find one of those on eBay, you would also have to pay between 1,000 or between 1,000 and 2,000 US dollars for just a working PC Engine LT. And the last thing that I really wanted to have, but it's too expensive and too rare to find one of those, would be also a handheld system, the Atari Cosmos. And this was a handheld system that was never released. They only made, I guess, 10 prototypes of that handheld system, and I guess only 2 of them are actually working. And the idea behind the Atari Cosmos was that it was a holographic handheld system, but not holographic in that terms like in Star Wars or anything, that you have a real hologram or anything. No, but it was, you had holographic pictures that you could insert, and behind those would happen the gameplay. So it was a really weird and cool idea. And also I only saw one of the Atari Cosmos once on eBay, and I also guess the guy wants $1,000 or $1,200 just for one of the prototypes, and it was also one of the non-working prototypes, so it wouldn't actually work. But yeah, I don't have one must-have that I will never get. I wanted to add 4. Okay, now let's continue with the questions. The next one is by Yandres23, and he wants to know, or he asks me, "Hi, like your style. I'd like to see a game review of one of your favorite games from your childhood." I actually made a couple of my favorite games of my childhood, let's say reviews of some of my Amiga 500 games. And so yeah, just check my my other videos, my older videos, and there you can find actually some of my reviews of my favorite games. Okay, next question comes, or let's say, is from HoloMan3105, and he asks, what are your top 10 and flop 10? Please consider it. You could also make a video about it. Same thing like making a top 10 list or flop 10 list of video game systems. I don't really, let's say, play favorites with my games, but I actually thought about it, and the next reason why I can't really answer you this question is that top 10 is pretty hard, because I wrote down some of my favorite games, and yeah, I shortly came up with 15 games, and those were only the first games that came to my mind. If I think a little bit more, then I think about, hey, this game is also one of my favorite, but you can only answer it with 10 games. So yeah, maybe I'm gonna make a video someday about top 10 games and flop 10 games, or let's say my top 10 or flop 10 games, but for now I really can't answer you this question, also because I thought about my flop 10, and for now I only have 6 games or so that I could actually put into this list. But let's say maybe, so I can't really answer you that question right now, but maybe in the future I can make such a video. Okay, next question is from YouBuyFan, and he asked me, how did you start collecting? Yeah, I actually answered this question before, so I can continue with another question. Or let's say I started with this one, with Gold Cliff, Nintendo Game & Watch multi-screen series. Next question comes from Tobias Nasenfred, and he asks, how big is your game room? Now, my game room has a length of 8 meters, then it is 2.5 meters wide, and the height is 2.1 meters.